Welcome back to Deep Diving Divas. I'm Nancy Fox.
And I'm Elaine Doran. We have an incredible guest joining us. He's an artist who has work that has been inspiring audiences for over 30 years. Richard Doran has been showcasing his contemporary photography and his elegant clay forms in galleries and curated shows across the country. His pieces even grace the homes of some Hollywood entertainment executives.
Wow. And designers nationwide have discovered his art, and they figured it's the perfect fit for so many of their discerning clients. But let's face it, Elaine, right? Richard's impact doesn't just stop at the gallery walls.
It's true, Nancy, because he's devoted much of his life to art education and sharing his talents. He served as a high school art department chair in Los Angeles. He consulted for the Getty Education Institute when it first opened, and he has inspired students and educators at conferences around the state.
He also served as the director of education at the Hollywood Entertainment Museum, running programs that brought art into the hearts and the minds of countless learners.
So get ready for a conversation about being creative, learning about education, and being an artist.
I'm ready. Oh boy, Elaine, let's get started.
Okay, I'm with ya.
Hey there, friends, it's Nancy and Elaine. They're the Deep Diving Divas, it's quite a name. They're diving deep into the things that matter most, from friendships to family and so much more. Join them each week for a splash of fun.
Richard Doran, I know you. I think I've known you for about 50 years because you're my husband. Yay! You have special connection.
Richard, so nice to see you, and thank you for agreeing to join us.
Nancy, it's good to see you again. Been a while.
Richard, I know we're going to talk about creativity today, but you have, I would say it's a sweet story, but it's very poignant, and I think it's very indicative of what happens to young kids who want to be artists, or maybe don't even know if they are an artist. Can you tell us if you remember that story when you were 6 years old? I think you were in kindergarten with your wonderful teacher that you had then.
Yeah. Actually, I was probably 5 years old and in kindergarten, and the teacher would give us different little assignments. And one day it was to draw anything we wanted. And I sat and thought about it. And my uncle, who lived on the East Coast and was this sort of burly, almost stereotypical looking truck driver, drove a truck for a beer company. So I thought, well, I'm going to honor my uncle and I'll draw this truck. And so I did. And I thought it looked pretty good. And the teacher came around and started making comments. And when she got to my truck, she said, "Oh, is that a diesel?" Well, at 5 years old, I didn't know what a diesel was. So I just, and she all of a sudden goes, "Well, where's the smokestack then? Why isn't there a smokestack?" And at that point I was cringing and going, I probably shouldn't be doing this drawing stuff anymore.
Oh my goodness. So she tried to squash you at 5 years old. That's horrible.
Yep.
So Richard, was it a long time after that what impact did that have on you for your early years?
Well, I think there was probably reluctance to, put myself out there. That combined with the fact that I went to Catholic schools and art wasn't particularly a priority. Even the high school that I went to didn't offer any art classes. They offered what was called a classical education. So I took 4 years of Latin and 2 years of Greek and no art. It actually was funny because
That's life,
now they have this incredible art department, but too late for me.
That's incredible. So Richard, at an early age, what would you say to someone if they feel the urge to want to be creative but never have, or maybe they just don't have the urge to be creative? What advice would you give them?
Well, I would say for someone that, first of all, I believe that everyone has some sort of creativity within them. It's not necessarily, when you talk about art, you're generally talking about either performing arts or the visual arts. And there are other kinds of creativity, and I think that everyone has a bit of that in them. So I would say if there's a curiosity about it, to explore it, to really kind of look around, see if there are things that interest you that you might want to expand upon, and just go for it.
So with you, when you got squashed and by that terrible teacher that, criticized you about drawing, what got, you obviously are an incredible artist. So how many years, like Elaine asked you, how many years did you wait? And what was your first medium that you found for creativity?
As I said, I my education didn't particularly expose me to the ability to be involved in the arts. So it was when I was probably 20 years old, I went with a friend to a place in Venice called, I believe it was called the Pot Shop. And it was a ceramic studio. And unlike the pot shops today, it was a ceramic studio. And I went in, and there were people working, but what caught my eye were just the pieces that were on display, the forms, the shapes, the colors. It really interested me, and sparked an interest in me. And I began exploring that particular medium. The One of the jobs I had in high school was that I worked at a boys club, and the gentleman that owned the club had a girlfriend who was a potter, and there was a pottery studio about 2 blocks away from where the boys club was. So she one day invited me to, walk with her over to the studio and sort of begin experimenting and playing around with the clay. And so for the better part of one summer, I did that. I spent probably 3 nights a week in that pottery studio, trying to figure it all out, because I wasn't taking lessons or anything. I was just there with. She showed me some things, but I was just there, kind of figuring out on my own.
So, Richard, so you did this when you were in your early 20s. And I think for everyone, that's a time of discovery and curiosity. But, what do you say to somebody now who says, I think it's too late for that. I was never creative. I could, everything I did was wrong or looked terrible or blah, blah, blah. Is it ever too late?
Well, it's never too late, and in some ways, if you are in the later stages of life, now is the perfect time, because you have that ingredient, time. When I was younger, I had to squeeze things in for the most part to be able to do anything that was artistic. Fortunately for me, uh, when I started working, I was a high school art teacher, and I taught ceramics. So what I taught during the day, I could hang around after school and on my own do my own work. But for most people, that's not really very practical. But once you, let's say, get to the age where you're not going off to work every day, and you have more free time, that's the time when you can really explore and do things that maybe you weren't able to do when you were younger.
That's interesting. So what would people do if you're a person out there that would like to get started and you don't even know what to do? What would you recommend? Should they go to a local college? Look at, how would they find a resource to start their art?
Well, depending upon what sort of art they're interested in, there are two things. Number one, the community colleges are an incredible resource. They offer classes in the daytime, they offer classes at night. The price is very reasonable, and the instruction is very, very good, and the facilities are all there. Um, there are also community centers that tend to offer some kinds of classes. Sometimes there are centers that are devoted just to seniors that offer those kinds of opportunities. And I would say that to take advantage of that, first of all, I think to get yourself involved in a group situation is always helpful. On the one hand, it can be a little intimidating because you might say, oh, well, I'm not as good as the other people in the group. But I think a far overriding thing is that the other people in the group you will see are in this exact same boat you're in, and they offer support. They offer the exchange of ideas, and they just offer, friendship and companionship, which is, I think, important as we get older.
And for a short time, when you had the day camp, I worked with you, and then I was teaching kids art, only from watching you and doing ceramics. And when I was teaching school, I actually did a mini ceramics class, and there were a couple exercises we did to try and get kids to feel like they could just loosen up and break out and do it. And it doesn't have to be just for children, it can be for adults. So Richard, give us an example of something you would do if someone came in who had never touched clay before, never held a camera. What would you do?
Two things that I would say right off the bat that are easily done by anyone, almost anywhere. Thing number one is walk around in your neighborhood, and just observe and see if there's anything that appeals to you, shape wise, color wise, and maybe even when you do these walks, give yourself a little assignment each day. Today, I'm going to pick out something that is red, and I'm going to find something red on my walk that really appeals to me visually. It's something that I used to do. I volunteer taught photography to kids in a gang reduction program in Pacoima for 10 years. And we were limited for the most part. We could do field trips on the weekends, but during the school week, we were limited to about an hour and a half, 2 hour class. And we would walk around the same neighborhood in Pacoima, over and over again. So what I did with them was I would say, yeah, today pick out something that's square and it really appeals to you, and take pictures of it, and take images and see what you come up with. I think the same would certainly hold true with an adult, and you don't need a camera. You can just do it visually to yourself. You might even want to, and it's a good idea, I think, if you're interested in pursuing something artistic, to get yourself a little notebook and jot down ideas, images, things that maybe you'd like to play with later when you are back in your house, or at the community center, at the community college. The other tool would be working with your eyes closed. So whether it's taking a lump of clay and just molding it in your hands, don't look at it, mold it, play around with it. Kind of, clay is a very sensuous material. It's really
Remember that movie? I forgot what it was called, with Demi Moore. Very sensual.
I started dating him. That's how I learned. Oh gosh.
Play around clay for maybe a minute or two, and then open your eyes, see what form you have, and then with your eyes open, you can maybe start using that starting point to sort of embellish what you have already created. You can do the same thing with drawing. Take a piece of paper and a pencil or a pen, or even with painting, and close your eyes and just let your mind visualize what it is you would like to do, and just let your hands follow those motions. And then when you open your eyes, see what you got. If you want to expand on it, if you say, I really like this, I'm going to play around with it, do that. If not, it's just an exercise in helping you to really find your creativity and to explore your creativity.
That's a magical idea. I love that.
It's a good idea too, sometimes, to turn on some music. We used to do that, and with the young kids, so that they could, listen to the sounds and imagine just having them. And they would be, you're so surprised. I mean, when I did that exercise, you look at it and all of a sudden, oh my goodness, that's, it started to turn into a sculpture. So, I did a lot of sculpting with my eyes closed. It actually looked better when my eyes were closed. When I opened my eyes, I started wrecking it. But, let me just tell you, when Richard gives this suggestion about going around the neighborhood and picking up, come to our house, because everything he's picked up for the last 15 years is in his playroom, in his studio. I mean, honestly, every twig and branch, he'll just find, or things in the street that are covers to the water holes. I mean, always, finding things, just bringing them home. But it's always been some kind of inspiration. So
Richard, so today I know, first when I met you, I know you were really heavily into photography, and you're an incredible photographer. And it's not just regular take a photo. I mean, your photography is art. And I marvel in your home. You have such beautiful things on the wall. But but what I didn't know is that you really started out with ceramics first. I thought it was photography first. So now, don't you go to a studio for your photography or for your ceramics? Or maybe explain where you go to do your art.
Yeah, I do. First, I'd tell you an interesting little story about the photography, because I think in terms of art things, I'm a little bit impatient, and ceramics, the part that I do is great, and that's the exciting part. But then there's a part that's a little bit out of my control, and that's during the firing process. And that firing process takes time. The clay has to dry out first, and then it gets put in the kiln. The firing takes 10 to 12 hours. Then the kiln has to cool off for another maybe 15 hours. So I took a photography class. Once again, I went to just a night school class at a high school and took a photography class. And the first time that I took a piece of photographic paper and immersed it in Developer and saw that image just magically come up almost right away, I was really pretty hooked on photography for a while. So yeah, but in terms of what I'm doing now, I go to a community studio. I pay a monthly fee, which entitles me to, space and the use of all the facilities there. The nice thing about it is, and I tend to, when I'm there, I'm really there to work, but it's nice to be surrounded in an environment where other people are doing the same work. And I occasionally talk to people. We exchange ideas. Someone will come by and say, "Oh, I really like that. How'd you do it?" Or I might say to them, "Yeah, that's really a cool piece you've got there. What do can you tell me a little bit about how it happened?" Um, and I think, what I said earlier about working in some sort of a community environment and not in isolation, I think can be helpful to the process. And I think it also can be helpful in terms of you feeling like you're maybe making improvement. You get feedback from other people, you get ideas from other people, and I think that's just part of the process.
Richard, what is it? I mean, now since you're 20, and I've known you since you were probably in your early 30s, I mean, you are just bursting with creativity and such energy for it. And I see now more than ever at this point in your life, you are just so passionate about what you're doing. What are the feelings inside of you? I mean, what are you feeling when you're, working with clay? If you could describe some of those words.
Um, I guess the biggest thing, and I think again, once again, as you get older, and if I have friends who really don't do much of anything but sit around the house all day and watch TV. And then they complain to me that they're not feeling well, that they, what are they going to do, and blah, blah, blah. And I think I feel just alive, really alive when I'm working with clay. I feel the same way when I get behind a camera. I mean, there's just something about looking through there and you know getting that image the way you want it to be, composing it exactly the way you want it. It's very, very exciting to me. And, as a result, I think that aliveness carries over into other parts of your life. And I'll get an idea, and there've been occasions when I literally can't sleep at night because I can't wait to get up in the morning and go see how this idea is going to play out in the studio. And
I love it.
I hope you get that excited when you see me.
oh no, as a matter of fact, I was just going to say that the only other two in my life that are sort of on a par with that kind of excitement it's Elaine and our dog Dixon. I'm
Baby.
I get very, very excited when we're together. I love us. We'll go out and we'll put Dixon in the car and we'll go to a little cafe and just sit and, sip coffee and chat and just have a good old time. And Dixon kind of sits at our feet, or sometimes, not knowing that there are rules, he climbs up onto the table and wants to be part of the action.
We're talking today about creativity. And Richard, for you, you're the epitome of a great photographer and potter. But the reality is, I think we're all creative. You might not know it. Do you like to cook? Do you like to bake? Because that's That's an ultimate creativity. And every day, like you, Richard, sometimes I dream about recipes I want to make, and I can't wait to jump out of bed and get in the kitchen, roll up my sleeves, and start creating. And my inspiration might not come on nature walks, but mine comes when I'm at a restaurant or a bakery and I taste something and I get so inspired and can't wait to get into my kitchen and try to duplicate and maybe, for me, skinify it. Years ago, I bought a piece from you that was so fabulous. I wish I had it here right now to show you, remind you, but it's very different than the medium that you're doing now. And so, what kind of style is your ceramics? Has it morphed over the years? Because I've kind of seen that it has.
Oh, it definitely has. I mean, I started out primarily, which is what most people I think of when they think of ceramics, is they think of someone working on a potter's wheel. And that was the way I started. And I was creating primarily functional objects, bowls, cups, mugs, and really sort of trying to achieve within that a little bit with the form, but probably more with the glaze and the color and that type thing. And over time, the potter's wheel became, I guess, sort of stagnant for me. I mean, there's a limitation to the shapes you can do, and I sort of became, I guess, bored with it. I've been hand building exclusively for the last probably 20 years, 25 years. And I'm very interested in organic textural shapes. That's what really appeals to me. I because of the nature of clay, and clay is really an ancient material. And the weird thing about clay is that not only does it have a lengthy past, it also has a lengthy future. I mean, anything that I'm making today, assuming it doesn't get, even if it gets broken and thrown out, it's still going to be around long after I'm gone. I mean, fired clay is a material that it just doesn't break down. So, which is why a lot of the evidence we have of early peoples comes from ceramic objects that were found, because they last, they don't deteriorate, and they survived over the years. But anyway, back to what I was saying, that when I look at things, I really, texture seems to appeal to me the most, and it's reflected in the work that I do. And there's a Japanese concept called wabi sabi that really deals with the beauty of imperfection. And
Sounds
that
like something you eat. It's not something you eat. It's not wasabi.
uh, and that's kind of what I like, is the imperfect beauty, I guess. Irregular shapes, things that maybe have little flaws in them. Sometimes a crack that I didn't mean to appear, I let stay because I think it adds to the piece. There's something about it that gives the piece a little more visual strength. And so, yeah, that's kind of what I'm doing now.
I know we're going to be running out of time soon, but yeah, well, one thing quickly, the Native American Indians always dropped a stitch in their weavings or whatever they were making. They would purposely make a mistake because they said it was human hands that made this, and that humans are not perfect. And so it was such a beautiful thing to say. So anyway, but what's really beautiful and exciting, and I have to share with you, I can't help it, I'm proud of you, but you are going to be part of an unbelievable art show that's happening here in Beverly Hills. So can you tell us what it is? I mean, it's the Art in the Park, but give us some information, details, and
yes, please do.
Well, it's the Beverly Hills Art Show. It's a juried show. It's been going on for over 50 years, and it's very well attended. They have and it's on a weekend. It's October 18th and 19th. They do 2 shows a year. I applied and was considered myself very fortunate and honored to be accepted. And the attendance is about 40,000 people over the weekend. So it's a real opportunity to be exposed to a new audience. And yeah, it takes place. There's a grassy strip in Beverly Hills, the park that Elaine mentioned, that parallels Santa Monica Boulevard, and they take and block off 3 blocks of that, and the artists set up their display booths, and it's from 9 to 5 on that Saturday and Sunday, October 18th and 19th.
Hey, you
Incredible.
forgot the most important thing. It's a wine tasting too.
Hey, gotta
Wine
go then. I'm
there's
gonna go.
Beasley. Bring everybody, but you can find, we'll give you more information at the end of the show. But Nancy,
So, Richard, so how can people find you? I'm sure they could find this information out. You have a website, right?
I have a website. It's www.doran, DORAN dash designs.com.
And
And
Richard,
on there,
so
I have both my photography and my ceramics. You can go to the menu and take your choice.
fantastic. And I know you also sell on Etsy. And so how can they find you on Etsy?
On Etsy, I am under Doran Clay.
Great. Richard, thank you so much for taking the time from your ceramic studio to join us today. It's always a
Thank
pleasure.
you. It was fun. Had a good time.
I'm always inspired, Richard. I feel so blessed that you have shown me the way to the art world and letting me be creative. So if I could do that with my hands, I know you all can. Thanks.
Yeah, but you're my muse too. So
She sure is. I love that. See ya.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
okay, bye-bye.
I just have to tell everybody, not only is Richard Doran an amazing person, he's an extraordinary artist. I'm not kidding. Run, don't walk to his website. Check out his gorgeous artwork or on Etsy. And be sure, if you're in the LA area, to come to the Beverly Hills Art Show. Come check out Richard Doran, and you'll even meet Elaine. So don't miss it, everybody.
Nancy, I'm going to hire you to do the PR for Richard. Hope to see you all there.
Not hard to do. Okay, thank you all for joining us. If you want to reach us, email us, thedeepdivingdivas@gmail.com. And don't forget, join our socials at Deep Diving Divas. Also on YouTube or a podcast that you listen to. Everywhere at Deep Diving Divas. Until next time, get
See you at the
creative,
art fair.
everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye.